Good evening, everybody. Welcome to all those who are joining us for Just the Talk. Welcome to the Zoom sphere, folks. And we're now beginning our full weekend retreat. The workaday week has concluded, and now we're going to focus in with all of our time and effort to the Jizo inspiration that we receive from Jizo and what we know of the spirit of Jizo. The spirit of great determination and optimism and a warm and tender heart and no fear. So I wanted to talk tonight about the realms once again. I touched on those in my first talk, and I would like to continue with that tonight. This weekend retreat is short, but it's also complete. It doesn't matter how many hours in conventional time we spend. It's the wholehearted way we relate completely in each moment of this retreat and each moment of our life. Because it is a short retreat, it's especially important to zero in on simplicity in our practice. Simplicity, which might also be a way of describing Jizo Bodhisattva. The simplicity of acting from love, the intention to protect, and to keep from harm happening, to protect so that someone can come to awakening. And that's really the refuge that we find in a retreat. It is safe, it's quiet. Hopefully there's nothing too unexpected that happens. So we're completely free to be very simple, very plain, very ordinary, and right here. So Sesshin involves a lot of simplifying and repetition, simplifying through repetition. The repetition that all ritual brings, and Sesshin is a ritual. It's a long ritual with a lot of different aspects to it, each of which we settle into as the one and only. And ritual, this kind of over and over and over engaging a certain set of tools of practice, brings them into our body. The tools of practice, every breath, every step, the tunes, the bows, the bows, the vows, over and over. So we know the choreography, and we can simply completely give ourselves over to it, which helps us when we forget and fall back. All we simply need to do is remember to bow, to remember the vow, possibly to remember some of the songs that we've been singing, which we'll be doing again this weekend, all of which inspire us, soothe us so that we can fully relax and be quite present. Everything functions. Everything functions. So we begin by quieting the mind. And that is not just the ordinary kind of paying attention, although that certainly is part of it. But paying attention or mindfulness, which the Buddha described as remembering the vow, mindful of the vow. So, establishing a stability of awareness is what we go for during Sesshin. Sesshin are the ideal conditions for establishing stability of awareness so that we can come to taste the joy and the information that we receive when we are able to abide in the present moment conditions. And this is how we open the power of the great vow of Jizo Bodhisattva. The vow to wake up for the safety and well-being of all of life. Her practice of the vow to save all beings is especially needed during this really dark time in the world. There are so many conditions that are heating up. The earth, the oceans, the air, and all the weaponry that our human genius has created and distributed far and wide, and is being currently used in many different sites in this world. So this Sesshin, where we're cultivating stability of mind and heart steadily and with an appreciation of how important this is to do. Whoever is awake is contributing to all beings awakening. We all do that together. It's a good way to use our consciousness for benevolent action. It takes courage, it takes great determination, and it's a way that wisdom manifests. So I mentioned in the last talk the story of the Jizo story about the children who have died before their parents, and so they're unable to fulfill their filial duty to honor and care for their parents in this life. So the way that they do it when they have crossed over the river Sai, if any of you are not familiar with this story, is they build cairns, they stack stones of caring to honor their parents and to signify their awareness of their parents' grief and despair, distress. So they're really busy over there. They're making protective amulets and stones, stacking them. And this is an image that I find endlessly rich and suggestive, that can be really inspiring for all of us to bring our most vulnerable and innocent, loving self and spirit to helping those who are still poisoned and acting out of poison, the three poisons: greed, hostility, and ignorance of the true nature of life, which greed, hostility, ignorance is the realm of samsara. On that shore where children who've died go, every 24 hours the aggressive and bellicose Oni show up. They're terrifying demons with their horns and sharp teeth, growling and diving and emitting fierce light from their eyes and horror-filled sounds, and they really frighten the children and destroy. They just lay waste to everything. Every heartfelt effort that the children have made are just brushed aside carelessly, no thought to the harm done, not only to the children, but to all of their family who are still living. And we are all children of the Buddha, just like these children. We're all bound in some way to reckon with the harm that has been done to us and with the harm we do to our families. The details of that are infinite. The opportunities are always there to heal some of that. Just when the Oni show up, these demons, Jizo Bodhisattva shows up. At that very moment, they go together. The need and the answer to the need, which also suggests that when we're aware enough to recognize when we're in a state of great distress, calling on Jizo immediately is medicine. It's wise, and there is always help forthcoming. So think about that in your own life. Sometimes we don't even recognize what the help is. It's not what we would assume it is. An example of that, from a long time ago at a sesshin, I was just in horrible pain. One of the hell realms of extreme physical pain. Before I recognized that it was possible to sit in a chair and meditate. So I was forcing the body unnecessarily. And so at one point I just shouted in my mind, Jizo, help me, help me, help me, and the bell rang and ended the sit. Even though it took me by surprise because I didn't think that much time had passed. So the absorption in the pain had been legitimate, zazen, but I didn't recognize that at the time. So Jizo shows up, and the demons give up. They know that once Jizo is there, then that's the end of it for them. They leave. And then as soon as the children feel safe and the threat of harm is gone, they can resume their work to help those who are grieving and in distress. And we keep going. We have these moments of great looking at the eyes of the demon, and then something changes. And we're okay, and we can keep going. Even when maybe we thought maybe we couldn't. So that's part of what this great determination is all about. Great determination. And the other tool in this study, in this teaching, also is about a warm and tender heart. Because when you're having a really hard time, probably what you may notice, what I always notice is, my heart is frozen and tight, and there's no love coming in. And the tool is immediately on calling on Jizo to come and bring love back. And then whatever is difficult is immediately eased. All week we've been attending to the vow uttered to Buddha by the Earth Store Bodhisattva to save all beings who are caught in the hell realms. All of those who are enslaved by their stubborn and conditioned habits, by pain, all those who have not been able to hear the Dharma in any way. And the conditioned habits that we get into can be particularly intense. It's so intense that special help is needed. The intense states of mind and heart, we all need help with that. We all need companionship, someone to bear witness, so that we can bear sympathetic witness. That's one thing that we lend each other when we are with somebody who's really in terrific distress. And we listen with a warm and tender heart. We're lending that immediately to the circle of energy that the two of us share. We're always one energetic field when we're with somebody else. And so what the energy we bring into that immediately has effect. So that's one of the implications of Jizo teaching too, is that we look into what is the energy that we bring, what is the energy that is present when we are suffering, and how can we change that energy? How can we allow it to ease up and open and flow through and not grab on? This is probably one of the meanings of the problem with attachment in human life, is we get attached to the wrong things. We get attached to a lot of conditions that create tremendous suffering. So we need at times to have somebody help us go beyond our own limits. So there's a story that I had forgotten about, and in preparing this talk, I was reminded about, this has to do with Buddha and this warm and tender heart. There was an elephant, and Buddha had a cousin, Devadatta, who was actually kind of in the Ashura realm, the realm of the jealous gods. And he was always bedeviling the Buddha, acting out some of his jealousy. And at one point, he went into the place where the royal elephants were kept. And at that time, elephants were part of the war machinery. They were, war elephants were ridden into battle. And so Devadatta went into the place where the elephants were kept and went to one elephant who was particularly angry and ready to trample and kill. And he unchained him and put him on the path of the Buddha, thinking, okay, finally I'm going to get rid of this person who thinks he's so hot. Mm-hmm. And so the elephant starts running toward him, and running toward him, and running toward him, and everybody's like, ah! And the elephant comes up and he And Buddha's just standing there with love in his heart, aware of the state of the Buddha, the elephant, how it would feel to be this elephant so angry, so filled with the energy of anger. And he didn't budge, he just remained in his warm and tender heart. And the elephant, much to everybody's surprise, sat down at his feet and never again was good for war. He was good for nothing as far as his former job went, because he had never experienced being seen like that. So Jizo vowed to show his gratitude to Buddha for the infinite reach of the Buddha's teachings. He made a vow to enter even the deepest hells, the deepest hell realms, to bring beings to liberation. And he said, I will do this, Buddha, I will help you. That's very profound, that he was so concerned about Buddha that he will take on this vow. He had already been at it, but he realized how important it is to use his own goodness to help others. So he vowed to go into even the deepest hells, which are very liberally described in the Pali Canon, or in the Sutra of the Past Vows of Jizo Bodhisattva. Many, many hells. And somewhere in there, it was said that hells are infinite. And I think that that's probably true. My own are not infinite, but they're quite varied, and sometimes take on a new form, which I had never noticed before. Maybe you have, maybe you've noticed. Maybe none of you know what I'm talking about. You've never experienced hell realms or torture thoughts. The image of the Buddha is always, the Buddha has a staff. And we're going to get to be in the presence of this on Sunday evening when we do the Jizo ceremony. But the staff, he knocks on the doors of the hells. And when he knocks, they must open. And there's something about that that's really true. When we realize we need help, and we ask for it, the doors open. And so this is the, when we get into how he works with those in the hell realms and all of the teachings about that, the different realms that are laid out in the sutra, we're really diving into teachings on karma and cause and effect. We may not usually know the effect of what we do, of our actions, but they all have effects. Every small action, every thought has an effect. Every word that we utter has an effect. Even if we utter it to ourselves, has an effect. Every action that we take has effects. Some effects we know. We know right away because of how we feel as a result of doing whatever it is. I certainly, if I don't use skillful speech, I immediately feel bad. I feel either shame, regret, and I just want to utter the chant of atonement because of the careless speech, right? Spreading my own suffering to somebody else. So those are immediate effects and they're very obvious when they happen. But we also talk a lot in this practice about don't know mind, and if we can apply that in every direction, including karma. We don't know everything that has conditioned this moment, this experience, this state of mind, this kind of behavior, these attitudes that we have go way back. We've practiced them on our own. We've creatively used them, but we've usually inherited major karmic shapes that we enact in our life. When we talk about karma, we immediately think of individual karma, but way more profound, of course, is collective karma. And that's where the sense that if we are practicing clarifying our own minds and cleaning up the behaviors that create difficulties for ourselves and others, we are contributing something clearer to collective karma. Right now, it's pretty hard to see how any of us are not affected by millions of people's actions. There's so much going on right now. There's so much confusion. Confusion is one of the qualities of the animal realm. Not knowing what is skillful, not even considering that our intentions may be really poorly directed. So we live out this human life not knowing most of what we need to know, which is another reason to really have a settled mind and to continually come back to settled mind. Just a quick review of the hell realm, of the realms, in addition to hell, which I'll come back to. The realm of the hungry ghosts, where there's no ability to take in the nourishment that we need. This is a very, it's a very specific realm of hell, I would think. Because there's no awareness. Maybe in the hell realms you know you're suffering. In the hungry ghost realms you're suffering, but there's no sense of any possibility other than that, because it is just so fixed. Then there's the realm of the Asuras, the jealous gods, the angry, fighting spirit, the sense of fury, not caring about harm that's done. So that's one of the things that's so terrifying about the Unis in the story, and also terrifying about authoritarian regimes, because there is no concern. There's no concern for the well-being of others. And then there are the Deva realms, the God realms, where everything is so lovely that it never occurs to you to wake up, because you don't want to wake up. And yet, when all the conditions change, there's incredible misery that comes along with losing wealth, losing beauty, losing status, losing power. And then the animal realm, which is ruled by ignorance, confusion, and habit energies. So the human realm is where we all are, seemingly, and yet we range through all the realms all the time. It's really useful. This description is really useful because it helps us recognize even more specifically the quality of suffering that we get caught in, and then we can use our tools. Part of practicing with Jizo is recognizing these realms Everything is colored by them. As human beings, we can wake up. And one of the things that comes with that is recognizing when others are caught in these different realms, in these different states of mind. So that's where skillful means comes in for all of us. It's very helpful when we recognize that somebody is caught in a particular state of mind, and we keep addressing them as though they're free and open and really can hear what you're saying. And it's not always the case. So this is part of the sensitivity, and Soten has talked about this. We become more and more sensitive, and we can recognize when somebody is what is needed much more accurately and address it. Sometimes. When someone is caught in great reactivity, that's not the time to teach. I know that for a fact. When I'm caught in reactivity and somebody tries to tell me how to do it better, I'm ready to slug them. There's nothing that comes in. So the hell realms lie all around and within and without. And there are a lot of evocative names for the hell realms in the Sutra of the Past Vows of Jizo Bodhisattva. One of the things that is true in all of the hell realms is their inescapability. One of the things that's true for all of us is that we do believe in an escape. Although we don't call it an escape, we call it awakening. How it functions. So there are so many different realms of hell, levels of hell. There are hot hells, and there are cold hells. The hot hells include anger and rage and reactivity, destructive action, completely loss of control. And there are names given to them, flying knives, the hell of flying knives. And one of the things I was referring to is when we cut off from people that we love, and we can't get back. We're stuck. And flowing fire is another. And squeezing mountains is another hell realm, which is for those who have harshly oppressed others with their authority. And I think squeezing mountains is so applicable to one public figure right now who's really coming up against mountains and mountains of being called to answer for a lot of things. Being squeezed by the mountains of the judicial system. There's the quarreling hell. There's an embracing pillar hell, which is one who is addicted. Sexual addictions have to do with that. You just go and you see this golden pillar and it's just beautiful and you just want to hug it, but then you can't let go. You can't let go of it. It's gotcha. And then in the cold hells refers to extreme numbing or tuning out, becoming rigid and inflexible. So that's considered a cold hell. And you can kind of see why that would be true, because the heart just clenches and does not move. And then there's the hell of intense pain. And that's really important to work on when it comes up. First, and now I'm speaking from my own experience, feeling it, the only thing to be done is to move so nobody notices, to try to bring some relief in pain. And I don't know if anybody here has had that experience, but and there's still this commitment to changing the conditions so that the pain will go away. But what happens with that strategy in meditation is you always move. And once you move once, then you have to move again. It's like scratching an itch. You scratch one itch. It's like a yawn. You yawn once, other yawns follow, right? So you can never actually drop into the unified field of awareness, because there's always something that is calling you out, away, somewhere else, something else, not this sensation. There's always judgment involved in that. So it's really helpful to finally decide that you're not going to. It's like the vow that the Buddha took the night that he decided he was not going to move until he awoke. That's really important. That's a really important moment in practice, because it's kind of finally taking full responsibility for your own possibilities to awaken. And it's also a leap of faith that you won't die from the pain. And if you do, so be it. So there's a real deep, deep resolve that comes with that. Great determination. The sesshin is short. What's really interesting about that is the experience during a period of sitting can be so varied. A sesshin can seem like it goes by in a blink, or it can take forever, especially when you're caught in a hell in relation to it. But it's always complete, and it's always the work that needs to be done. So what is the simple practice that you will take away from this sesshin? Is it is it the phrases of practicing with great determination, a warm and tender heart, no fear, they can be used like a mantra, they can be a koan. What does it mean to have no fear? Can you picture what it was like for the Buddha when facing the elephant? This profoundly intimate moment with a beast who has a very different mind state coming at you. What would change living a life without fear. It's part of the meaning, I think, of living a life of vow, because it's going on to the other, it's going in such a different way, living a life of faith. So this weekend, remembering to stay open to Jizo's presence and discover for yourself how Jizo shows up in your own life. Jizo is not only the protector of children, he's the protector of travelers, people on the path. Where do you need protection? What is the protection that you need? And can you ask for it? What are you protecting? What no longer needs to be protected? So working with Jizo Bodhisattva is a series of inquiries into our own experience as it relates to what are my vows, what is safety, what is no fear, where is my warm and tender heart, how determined am I to live according to vow. It takes great unflagging optimism. And the energy that releases, optimism is, in its openness and its joy. It's a great yes to this life, and a yes to all of the difficulties, and a thank you to all of the joys. Constantly flowing. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your practice.